Remix. 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 Remix.
Oh, yeah. Welcome out, y'all. This is no other than the Remix Morning Show. Right here on Black Liberation Media, in case you didn't know. I go by the name of the Ear Doctor, and this is that Boom Bap Breakfast, and we are bringing it to you right here, right now, on this Wednesday, 21st of August. Let's go with your host, LJ.
Hey.
Good
morning, everybody.
Good morning. First at school today, I see.
Hey.
First in the class, you ready to learn.
I love the first day of school. So
right? And it's that fall time now, right? I was just thinking about how I used to put my outfit together at night the first day and be like, ooh, I'm going to kill him.
Yeah, you got your book bag already.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That fresh smell of all, like sometimes you had the new book bag and you be so fly. And see, up north it'd be a little chilly, so we would have our little hoodies, and it's hoodie weather now. Man, stop.
I love fall. It's my favorite.
Yeah, clothes look much better in the fall. They do.
Fall is my season.
Because you gotta rock shorts and stuff all the time. That's cool and everything in the summer, but when the fall, you rock the hoodies, the jeans, the boots, the fatigues. Don't get me started, man.
I love layers, so I like to add like cute little shirt and like a sweater on top, and you can just kind of transform, all day.
Exactly. So where you at now? I know you be traveling all around the place. You in New York?
I'm still in New York. Yeah. Heading to Chicago tomorrow.
Oh, so tomorrow you're going?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So what's going on in Chicago? What you got planned?
Well, the DNC is still having their march. It's possible that it's going to be changing the route because of the security perimeter, so I might check that out. But also, it's mostly just to see family and catch up with folks.
Oh, you
So,
got fam in Chicago?
yeah, I'm from Chicago.
Oh, I did not
Yeah,
realize that.
yeah.
All this time, I just don't listen.
You just don't listen because I've definitely said it before. Yeah.
Terrible. I like Chicago. I got people up there. I when I go up there, I hang on the south side, by Inglewood.
Yeah.
Got
Nice.
some things up there from projects. We're working with some youth,
Oh.
Urban Tech Academy. Yeah,
Mm.
dealing with the young brothers and sisters trying to make some things happen. So, yeah, big up to Urban Tech Academy in Chicago. And we getting that started down here. Also, Urban Tech Academy here in Atlanta next month, after school program. So I'm excited. I can't wait to get back into the classroom. They be like, Ear Doctor. I love
Oh.
the kids, man. It's middle school, so it's third grade to eighth grade. It's
Okay.
a range,
Yeah.
a range to middle school, and elementary. But
Oh.
I tell you, it's on MLK. A lot of them are,
Right.
they're a little rambunctious.
I
Very
mean, that's
rambunctious.
just the energy of youth, Ear Doctor. So,
Yeah.
some people still have it, which is good. We need that type of energy.
Yeah, nah, but I'm excited. I really want to get into some real podcasts. I really want to work with some older people also. So hopefully, and I'm at another school too, another middle school this year. So I'll be doing that, but it won't interfere with me being here on the Remix Morning Show. So
Good. Glad to hear it.
yeah, I know. I know Kamal is happy too. Speaking of Kamal, where does this do that? Who knows? Anyway, so we got a show today. I believe we got some people coming at 9. I I know Erica Kane. She will be here close to 9. Who knows where Jackie is? You know, Jackie's here and there. Who knows where Kim is? Yeah,
They're busy.
they're busy. All right, cool. Well, with that said, I know we got a show. What was my question? One of my hold on, what's this? 8:20. So I just got another text. Kamal will be here about 8:20. So
Okay.
we was talking about westerns,
Hmm.
and I asked you, did you watch this DNC joint last night? And I said I didn't because I was too busy watching Yellowstone. And now I just learned what a cowboy does by watching Yellowstone. I did not know what a cowboy did. Like, you hear
Hmm.
about what they do, but actual steering the cows off horses and getting them the cattle and stuff. I did
Yeah.
not realize that what they did.
Yeah. They're like, ranch hands. They're
See, I'm
yeah.
not. My dad is from Texas, but I didn't realize like that's the stuff they did. I'm a city boy. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, this is another thing that you like to say, that's the fault of the parents, right? Like your dad didn't explain to you
Mm-mm,
what
not at all.
cowboys do. Yeah.
Nah,
Mhm.
I never asked, never cared. I was
Well,
like,
I mean,
but yo, I love watching the history of in that perspective of America. Is the wild thing is they took the Indian land. They don't went and got the son has an Indian wife now,
mhm.
so she's sitting back looking like they're trying to take their land now, and she's sitting back like, well, 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 look at this. Somebody's trying to take your land. Imagine that. So I was
That's
like,
horrible.
yeah, I was like, oh, that's dope.
Oh man, oh man.
Yeah. So, any westerns? You mess with westerns?
Um, my dad really, really loved westerns, so like they would be on in the background, and I know about Clint Eastwood and how terrible he was. I do remember him being super racist on the Hollywood scene.
Mm. That's some super good westerns
Yeah.
though. Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
sexism is horrible, in these westerns, they're just terrible. But, the reason I guess why I triggered this conversation with you is because Tom Hanks is making a new western,
Mm.
and I guess every white man has to, like, do that as a part of their career, especially if they're, like, America's favorite actor, you have to do the horrible genre of settler colonialism and do a western, and he is do you think he's saving a native character or something like that? That would be horrible too, but
Of
no,
course.
it's him and a little white girl that has supposedly been kidnapped, and, it's
Wait a
him
minute.
and
They're
her.
kidnapped.
The little white girl is kidnapped by native people, so and
Oh,
he's rescuing her, and she's young, so she only speaks a native language, and he's like, I'm gonna restore you. I'm gonna bring you back to your people."
wow.
Yeah, and I was like, "Oh, Tom Hanks," but I shouldn't be surprised.
The savior. Oh man, I love
And that's a new one.
it.
That's 2024. Like,
Yeah. Did you check out the harder they fall, or the newest one with Idris Elba and
no, I didn't see that one.
it was pretty good. It's pretty good with Idris
Mm,
Elba and what's the sister's name that was on 227?
yeah.
You know what I'm
Which
talking
one?
about?
Which one?
Uh, the younger one. She does the
Oh.
voice on Boondocks. Damn, why can't I remember her name?
Okay, okay. I don't know her name though.
All right, chat room, help me out. Who am I talking about? What's her name? 227 does the voice of Riley and Huey on Boondocks.
Let's
Any
wait.
takers? Regina
Regina
King.
King. Thanks,
Yes.
Chichi Matcha. Thanks,
Yes.
Leah.
Yeah.
Everybody got it pretty quickly.
Look at that. See, you gotta. I love the chat room. They so smart.
Oh, you love the chat room today?
Today, because they answered the question. They was on
Uh-huh.
the job. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, nah, that was a pretty good one. Check that one out if you can.
Mm,
All right. Well, let me see. I guess we could go ahead and take a quick break, and we could come back and maybe be joined by some more people. And if not, we just go ahead and get into some news. That's cool.
Peace.
All right, cool. Let's do this. This is the Remix Morning Show on your August 21st of the month. And big up to all it's the cusp. So I believe it's Leo into Virgo season today. So big
Mm,
up to all Leos and Virgos. With that
nice.
said, let's go ahead and get into a quick break right here on the Remix Morning Show. Let's go. What's good, everybody? Welcome out. Welcome out. This is the Remix Morning Show. I go by the name of the Ear Doctor. And please make sure y'all hit that like button. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. Go to patreon.com. Become a member over there and see footage that's rare. Also, go to the website. And there you can donate to BLK Liberation Media, blackliberationmedia.org. Do that. And with that said, I wanted to go ahead and give a shout out to a sister that I ran into and actually hosted the Pan African Festival this weekend. She goes by the name of Queen Sheba. She just dropped an album. This album right here is called Civil Rights. The South Got Something to Say. And this is a song off her album called Lipstick on Your Collar with Philippa Williams.
Keep the lipstick on your collar, baby. No need to wipe it off. No need to find an answer, baby. You seem to stutter when you talk. I know it's a difficult situation, but I ain't at all. While you was shrinking, I was contemplating on how to spit it all. Goodbye, my love. I hope to see you again. Goodbye, my love. You know how this world can spin. Goodbye, my love. I hope to see you again. Goodbye, my love. You is only the beginning of the end.
Let me break it down like this. You may not think it's psychological, but be careful who you call a side chick. You empower the name in which you call someone, and you can bet your IG status your sneaky link is learning to read. Like when Jim Crow left too long and left the books out in the big house. Keep in mind, you're taking your time getting back to him or her. Whenever your schedule's not full, the tables will surely turn, and you'll be the one left on red, feeling inconsequential. On the side.
All right, there you go. A little mix right there for you. That, like I said, is Civil Rights. The South Got Something to Say. Queen Sheba. And yeah, go check it out. It's on Apple, Tidal, Autumn. So big up to the sister right there who's been doing poetry here in Atlanta for a minute, holding it down, hosting various shows. Big up to that sister. All right, with that said, let's go ahead and get back to the Remix Morning crew. Nah, we do. Let's go.
Goodbye, my love. I hope to see you again.
Yeah.
The chat is cracking up.
What they laughing at?
Dante said, somebody get their auntie.
Oh boy. You would think that the chat knows how to do everything so well. Wouldn't you?
We have a lot of talented folks in the chat, I am sure.
Why
I
don't
don't
I
know
ever
how I
see
feel about that song. The voice was strong, someone said also. I agree.
Yeah, it's a poetry album.
Yeah.
Poetry album. So she is Grammy nominated. Big up to that sister. She does her thing. So, the chat is always, I can't wait to see them do the stuff that, they always call people out for doing. I mean,
we do want them for their opinion, yes. So.
Yes, we do. I just would love to see what they can do. I would love to see them host. I would love to see them sing. I would love to see them rap. Because
I'm going to let you fight with the chat on your own.
Oh, no. Because, see, I actually do all this stuff. I sing, rap, host.
Y'all, your doctor's in his feelings.
Am I?
Yeah, it's
you
okay.
Think so?
It's
okay.
Okay.
I just love so many opinions. Everybody has
You
opinions.
have a
It's
lot
like
of opinions too.
it's like
Everyone
it's
does.
like a butthole. Everybody has one.
Oh my God. We were doing so well.
I can't help it. Ah.
We were doing so well.
Anyway. So let me stop doing so bad. Let me bring in somebody that does bad enough. Come out, K. Franklin.
Is that really the intro I get, son?
That is your intro.
I mean, my
Shame.
bad. I was just saying I do bad, but you do better.
I can't
Oh, like
even.
in a good way?
Yeah.
He doesn't mean that.
Bad meaning bad, not bad meaning
Bad
good.
meaning good. Who was that? Whose rhyme was that?
That's good. That's Run DMC.
That's funny. That is okay. I was like, wait a minute.
Yes. And I might have messed that line up anyway.
No. That was close enough for you.
Yeah. How you doing today, bro?
I'm doing good. I dropped the babies off. You know what I'm saying? There was a whirlwind, traffic, and you never know when it's going to hit me. But I made it almost on time, as always. You know what I
Is
mean?
it the first day of school?
No.
No,
Now we're
so
on our
early.
second. We might even be on our third week. I think
Oh,
we might be on our
wow.
third week.
That's
Yeah.
early.
Yeah. For
Yeah,
real,
it's the
early.
South.
First
I
week
don't
of
like that.
August.
Yeah.
First week of August.
Yeah. We used to go back to school in September
Yeah,
Excuse
me
me.
too.
in New
Yeah.
York. Yeah. But we got out in June. I think we always forgot that we get out like June 20 something.
Exactly.
Yeah,
We
the
got out in
whole-
May down here.
Yeah.
Chicago was great. We got out in May. Yeah.
And y'all started in
wait.
September?
Yeah.
That's why the education ain't so great up there. But
Wow.
Are you in Chicago right now though, or no?
No. I'll be there tomorrow.
Oh.
okay.
Are you going to be in the streets? I need somebody to
Maybe.
vicariously live through since I didn't make it.
Yeah. I'm
Maybe.
hoping to hook up with Jackie. I haven't been feeling great, so it's
Oh.
probably
Oh.
not best. But we'll see.
COVID, as in not COVID, you don't know. Or you got to tell us your exact ailment, of course. But
Yeah, it's not COVID. It's not
oh,
COVID.
okay.
You need me to give you some remedies?
No.
Wow.
No thanks.
The one who's hardly ever sick, always up here
True.
every day, and never. When do you find me sick? But you
That
know,
is true. No, that is very true.
it's all good. Don't listen to me. I know nothing.
Well, that's true also. I mean, two things could be true at the same time, actually.
A broke clock could be.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's twice a day, you know.
Mm.
All right. I'm just gonna say liquids and ginger. I'll just leave it at that. You know.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Liquids and ginger.
Liquids and ginger.
Cures
Yeah.
cancer? Is that it? Does it cure cancer?
Soursop does.
What cures cancer?
Soursop.
Okay. keep
Really?
going. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Mm, all
I
right.
mean, don't let me. I don't want to get Dr. Sabi
You
down
should
here.
do your medicine spotlight.
I think
Yeah.
I should. The Ear Doctor Medicine Show.
I'm
And
sorry,
start off
y'all.
with that one.
Maybe-
How? Yeah. No, you got to start off with the soursop cures cancer. I need that one too.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's
It's-
get that.
it's-
Start with that. Yeah.
It's almost like a chemotherapy fruit.
It is. Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chemo fruit.
Yeah. If you're looking down in the chat room to see what they say.
Well,
I
I'm a
can't
chat
with y'all.
person, you know. I got to, you know.
Yeah. All right. Well, cool. And
Oh, yeah.
lemon. Make sure you get some of that lemon to cut some of that mucus
Tate
out.
says we're gonna get a community note.
Is that-
We're already demonetized. though.
Black
Yeah.
seed oil. Yes, very true. See, we got some people in here know they talking about
Elderberry's
some
great.
elderberry.
and black seed, also another cancer cure.
I didn't say that, but
You're stopping at the soursop.
yeah, only soursop. I didn't say
That's
nothing
okay,
else.
that cures cancer.
Yeah, no.
Oh wow, $15 a pound, says Raj Singh.
Hmm.
Says what?
Soursop.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to find because
Where
they know
does
what
it
it does.
grow,
I
ear
mean, it
doctor?
cures
Where is
cancer.
it
Usually,
native to
usually
here?
in the Caribbeans.
Got it.
Mhm.
And you know, and they have no cancer there.
Right, none.
None.
All right.
They've got
Well,
NATO though, you know. But
They do. There's other mechanisms to kill. Yes.
yeah.
oh my goodness. Tell me somebody Diallo likes. Diallo somewhere tossed and turn here in this.
Yeah, he doesn't like
Sebi.
Sebi at all.
You
Why
don't
not?
like Sebi? What's wrong with Dr. Sebi? Was it like
Man.
fake medicine for him? It probably
Probably.
is.
I don't know.
probably.
I got to see Dr. Sabi live in the 90s. Back
Was he
when-
a good speaker? Was he? Or
I mean, he got to the point. He talked about different foods. Broccoli being a hybrid and different foods, what they do and what they don't do, alkalines and stuff like that. So it's everybody has some knowledge. They might not be right about everything, but some things you could take from people and be like,
Now, was he
okay,
a real doctor?
That's
Did
that's
some white
correct.
man give him a degree doctor, or was he? I just threw that name on me. You don't
like
know?
the ear doctor.
Yeah. Was he like the ear doctor, or is he like a Dr. Jared Ball, or a doctor
Right.
of medicine,
Right.
some kind of medical doctor?
I don't. That's a good question. We're gonna have to find out about that.
Okay.
But yeah, he
Josh
claimed to.
says it is fake medicine, literally. That's what Josh says in the chat.
Oh, Josh. Oh, another super smart one. Okay.
I don't know.
Talk about what fruits and alkalines do for your body, but that's fake. Okay. All right. Well,
Oh, no. I mean, it's nobody says it's not good for you. There are
yeah.
just limits to the
it's amazing how so many revolutionaries cling on to this Western medicine, like, the same ones that gave out smallpox and stuff like that. But they believe that, Western politics is not good. This Western is not good. But
So
when
let me
it
blow
comes
your
to
mind.
medicine, oh no, the Westerns got it right. The same ones that put dairy on the top of the food chart. That's no good for your body. But what am I?
You're
what
so
am I?
correct about that. Okay. So I actually was going to study Korean medicine in Korea. They have a program where if you get to advanced level Korean, you get a full scholarship, and I wanted to study Korean medicine. And that was like my plan. That didn't happen, but that was my plan. And I lived above a natural medicine clinic, and so they would be brewing herbs. It smelled amazing, and he was such a nice guy, this doctor. And so yes, the systems are thousands of years old. Amazing. Actually, Chicago has one of the two naturopathic medicine universities. There's one, I think there's one in Seattle, and there's one in Chicago. There might be one more, but yeah, there's totally stuff there. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I'm
Ear
only
doctor,
one
you were
show.
doing the colonizers' work spreading COVID? Oh my God. How ignorant are some of
I
these
don't think
people
he
out here?
spread COVID. Yeah, he stayed away.
There's some
No.
ignorance out here.
He does. You don't even believe in it, right? Am I wrong
What?
on that? I want to know. You
No,
believe you can get it?
COVID's real. I just
Okay, just the cure, the vaccine
just
stuff.
yeah, I don't I'm
Don't say
not
too much. Don't say too
yeah,
much. Just,
yeah,
Yeah, we're already demonetized.
We don't wait.
so
We don't.
yeah.
I will only say I don't think people disagree with you about the
The herbal.
yeah. People. I think
system,
people think herbal.
Now they don't because
No,
it's,
no, no,
it's
no, no,
trendy.
No. I
We've
mean, you're not
always
the
been
first.
doing.
Yeah,
I've
you're
been
not the
doing this
first.
since the 90s. A lot of people thought I was crazy then. And now,
No,
even with
you're
the
still
vegan
crazy.
stuff coming out now, oh, vegan.
Let's be clear. You're still crazy.
Oh,
It's just that there's certain bases of your knowledge that I think most people do agree with. Even I, a non-practitioner of your ways, of course I agree with you. Like vegetables, herbs, and all the rest of it are good for the body. They keep diseases away longer, and all that kind of good stuff. No one is ever disputing that. But people, I think, are saying that there are things that have been, through science, through a trial and error, that have been proven to help support the maintenance of the body or fix the body at times. I think there are things that the Western medicine does based on medicine from all around the world, which can be good for you. But I also agree with you. There's things about Western medicine that are meant to harm us, or that's meant to produce a sort of profit factory. So it's not really concerned about making the body better as much as it's concerned
get them back to work.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Let's get the symptoms away.
Yeah.
And if the symptoms away, that's all we care about, because we can
Exactly.
profit from it. We can get them back to work. So I think all can be true, except that soursop cures cancer. There's like limits. There's limits.
Wow. Okay, well, listen. You do your research on soursop for real. I'm so serious. Do your research on soursop, and then we'll come back and have this conversation.
Okay, I want to
Let's
hear
do it.
that. I want to hear
Okay, all right. Well, let me get up out of here because I believe I've done enough. I'll let
We
y'all
all
get
do
to the
that. We
news.
all believe that you've. You doing good, LJ?
I am. And besides, health is like, but other than that, I'm excited. School is starting, and like I was telling your doctor, we were talking about the first day of school. Were you a school person? I just want to hear your answer before we
Never.
get
No.
started.
No. I didn't like school at all. I only started liking school once I got politicized, and the only Yeah, so I think parts of undergrad, and then when I got my master's, those things I started to enjoy. But I was never a big fan. I was always like kind of bored, wandering, trying to figure out what I wanted to do and all that kind of stuff. So I was never a huge fan of school. Didn't
Mm,
hate it, but wasn't like a
mhm.
huge, like, ooh, school time. And
Yeah,
yourself?
I was definitely like, it's school time. I was, my book bag was ready, my clothes were out. I had all the crisp labeled notebooks. Yeah, I love school.
I think because I mean, I know you might have been poor too, but I was poor. And so there wasn't always like a lot of new clothes, like in the elementary, junior high years or whatever like that. So it wasn't like it's like you got what you got. And a couple of new things, don't get me wrong, but but it was always like I got if it was in style, I might have gotten it like a year after it came out. And so I only had like a 3-month run on it before the new thing came out. And I was like, damn, I still got wearing these, so I was always,
Mm,
for that thing. Yeah. But I had to
yeah.
find my way. But when I really got political, when I really got into reading, learning became extremely important to me. So whether it's school or not, and I tell people I learned more in political education sessions with comrades and other people that I was studying that I actually got to take back to school. And when I got really, started challenging the teachers and stuff like that. So yeah.
Oh yeah, I would definitely I like that you made the distinction between school and learning. Like I've always loved learning, and I mean I've gotten kicked out of so many like classes, not for being, behaviorally, but just they were like you can't we disagree, you can't be saying stuff like that. I got kicked out of Sunday school and my grandma is the pastor, so it's like
Damn. Damn.
they were like, "Oh, you're asking too many questions. You got to go." And so I got in trouble for that. So, yeah, I've always loved learning. Mhm.
Yeah. No, like, and then, I got. Now I remember a couple of times just challenging teachers, but I think I told folks like but my favorite teacher, Norman Finkelstein. He don't remember me no more because he's old. But I took a grad school course with him on U.S. foreign policy. He introduced the readings of Chomsky. He was this really a thorough teacher, and one of those folks who teaches you he'll say you can make right wing arguments, you can make left wing arguments, but you just have to have fact based arguments. And I always appreciated that as a way of which even if I disagree with you, what is the information that you're bringing that at least I got to digest, think about, go back and read. What is the historical analysis that you're bringing is something that makes me want to figure out more about what you're saying. So all that stuff like resonated in terms of like learning or picking up more stuff on how to use the skills of learning or the tools of learning to apply to the things that you are more interested in. So yeah.
Yeah, and I love that. I think that's one of the great things about being a teacher because you can see kind of the light bulb moment switch on for people, especially when it
Mm.
pertains to their everyday life. And I can imagine you kind of feel that with organizing when someone's like, "Oh, like I get it now," and they're ready, like that fire of like wanting to learn more. I love that. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So my last thing one is when you said that, what reminded me is when I started learning about the Vietnam War, and I took a class in undergrad on the Vietnam War. And when you start learning the intricate, and at that time, that was obviously was a couple of decades past for those who think I'm like old enough to remember it literally, but it was still like it was like one it was omnipresent still in terms of hearing about it and the way in which people talked about it. So getting other information about how the war was conducted, away from, and it's because this was a really good teacher, more not, not maybe my politics, but was earnest and honest about laying out sort of the factual history of the Vietnam War, how it started, the role of the United States in supporting the French recolonization, paying for it, taking it up, taking it over, the killing again, the murder. We talked about this a few days ago, like literally on the low end, 2 to 3 million people. Just again to have those conversations and to have them be sort of elastic and have points of view. Yeah, I mean, I still can like that every now and then. But then I turned into I needed action. It's like you can't know all this stuff and not do something about it. And so that's what got my organizing juices going, where it was like, can you continue to read, but if you don't apply or challenge, then at least for me, it was like, what was the point? So
Mm. getting that knowledge and applying it in the streets. Where do you get that except on the Remix Morning Show? Let's get to some news.
True. He's late. He's
That
late.
was my cute little.
No. Then he cut it short.
Sorry for not having my hand on the button exactly. When you wanted to.
You're probably taking your soursop or some shit like that, and you got delayed. So
Gotta be ready. Gotta be nimble.
Exactly.
Anyway.
Producer.
Like how y'all on time every time.
Ooh.
Wow.
Good morning. Remix Morning Show. We happy to be here. My teammate LJ, me, Kamal Franklin, the ear doctor in the background, coming strong, doing his thing. We are already at close to 276 people watching, listening, hearing the Remix Morning Show, the best morning show on the planet, Black Liberation Media. And you know it, and you got to grow it. How y'all going to help support this channel? Y'all going to give us some resources. Y'all can go to Patreon, where we got over 500 paid supporters. Thank y'all. I don't say thank y'all enough. Thank y'all. We got Black Liberation Media, or blkliberationmedia.org. I'll drop some of that in the chat for folks to give online. They can give a one-time donation, as some folks did yesterday. They can give monthly donations. I always appreciate the monthlies, y'all. I appreciate the monthlies. Let's do those monthlies. So help support the channel. Keep it going. We've been demonetized. So the way in which we try to support, not only adding more content to the station, trying to support the folks who come on live and give us some of their time, trying to expand our reach, is through your generous needed donations that help us in this media space organize. So I really appreciate all the money that y'all have run so far, and we all know that y'all can run more. LJ, what you got to say? You got any stories ready for us?
I do. I do have to leave at 9, but hopefully we have enough time to talk about these two stories. So this relates to Louisiana and its terribleness with prisons. It actually pertains to the 1st of August, but I didn't want to leave the month of August without mentioning it. So Louisiana eliminates parole and reduces good time early release. So a drastic change for adults convicted in Louisiana courtrooms beginning on August 1st. The state eliminates parole and reduces early release opportunities for inmates who demonstrate good behavior. This article is saying, why does it matter? The criminal justice reforms have led the state to try and save $153 million only, and also its reputation as the prison capital, to reduce its corrections budget. So Governor Jeff Landry called a special session asking state lawmakers to address violent crime, even though the data has been saying that crime rates are actually dropping in Louisiana. So this is a budget decision and a high crime rate decision on behalf of the prison boards. The important part here is the parole standards and the good time changes. So I want to read these numbers here. Okay, so as for good time eligibility, previously a person could earn a sentence reduction of 13 days for every 7 days spent in custody. Now that drops to a maximum of 15% of a person's sentence. So another important number to know is that there are over 29,000 prisoners, and last year, so 2023, 790 of those folks had their parole hearings, and only 387 of them had it granted. So that went into effect August 1st. So I just wanted to note that.
That is crazy on its face. What you said, it was 29,000 or 27,000?
29,000 total prisoners, yeah.
Yeah. And only 300 people were granted parole. And that is, I think we're headed back. I know there's been a reduction in the larger prison population over a certain time period, mostly due to the Great Recession. Like people want to think there was some great liberal move, or liberals moved these state governors, and most people are kept at state and state level and city level, jails and prisons on that level, not the federal level. And there has been a decrease in the prison population somewhat in terms of its top rates in the 90s and 2000s. But that was mostly due to economic factors, which led these state governments to be like, we can't hold this many people because we just ain't got the budget for it no more, particularly with the Great Recession. But I feel like we're in this period, particularly again with all the demonstrations and marches in the street, with the ways things are happening, where and in these right-wing states, where the idea of locking people up and keeping them locked up and increasing the amounts of people locked up is going to come back in vogue big time during this time period. So I'm not shocked by and again, this is one of these things where facts don't matter, right? Where even though there's a reduction in what would be considered so-called crime, that doesn't mean the prison population is going to rest or decrease. Instead, what they're really doing is saying, hey, we got space now, or this is another economic engine for construction, and then these jobs for like these folks out in these rural counties and stuff like that. So I'm not shocked by that whatsoever.
What is the balancing act that these prisons have to do, in the sense that they're saying, okay, we want to reduce the budget, so we want to uh, do this, even though this will actually double. Well, the article goes on to say that this makes Louisiana an outlier, and that it will. They project, this article, this group projects that it will double the state's prison population. So how are they selling this to? I mean, how do they make this make sense to people? I know that they say, okay, we're going to be more tough on crime or something like that, and that gets people to be on board, I think, publicly. But how does that work, I guess, fiscally?
Fiscally, it'll blow up the budget because you can't put all those people, more of those folks in jail without hiring more prison guards, building more jails and or prisons, the needs of supplies, whether or not that's beds, whether or not that's food. So all that stuff increases the budget, and so prison is not exactly some quote unquote moneymaker, as in it brings in resources to the state. It is a drain on the state, but the state itself sees its own benefits, and the benefits again are job creation for so-called low-level workers, prison guards, kitchen folks at times. So in that way, it's going to increase the budget or increase the prison budget, but that's something they're willing to do if they think, again, if it sells to the general public, and there's no problem with them saying, "Oh, cut the library hours. That's how we'll pay for it," or cut some other state area of the budget and say that's welfare, whatever it is that they'll claim, and just put that money towards the prisons, because then they'll harp on the language of crime, and this is where people belong if they commit crime in society, and so that's what they'll do. They'll just stick them there, and not unless it impacts. Unless the budget becomes a place where low taxes are not coming in, or the state is not receiving as much revenue, and only then will they begin to look at reducing the prison budget because they can no longer afford it. But that, places like Louisiana, Mississippi, those places specialize in imprisoning, particularly Black folks, of course, but imprisoning people at higher incarceration rates than most other places. So they're not caring about like whether or not this is going to explode the budget, as long as it fits their ideological means and mechanisms, and they can convince people that that's what you do in terms of that's where you put people. They don't care about rehabilitation. They don't care about anything. There might be some money made, as in there's there's certain ways in which even in public prisons, prisoners are forced to do certain kinds of labor, but
Right.
that does not counteract the cost of building and maintaining these prisons. And so it's not like, when people say what it does is it takes excess labor in some ways out of the streets, right? But it's not like it's a replacement for the capitalist engine in that respect. It's really an ideological battle. At least I see it as an ideological battle in which prisons are a way of housing people who they decide are not worthy of being in the general public, and again, who scare people. And again, we're talking mainly about black and brown people, black and brown men.
Wow. Thank you for that. I have another question just because I have you and I like hearing your answers to these things. So how did the prison labor aspect in terms of corporations, and the next story I have is a corporation story. How did that become pretty much the locus for a lot of work for corporations like Forever 21 or whoever that rely on prison labor? And you hear a lot about Angola, in Louisiana, but I know that this is happening across the U.S.
Yeah, some of it I just think is contract. Like, these folks are able to get these contracts for prison labor, and again, because people in prison, and the claim is that you don't have to. We're not even a claim, based on the so-called Constitution of the United States, you don't have to pay minimum wage to prisoners, right? And as the amendment itself says, that prisoners slavery is abolished everywhere except in prison. So people are under the guise of training, under the guise of some sort of new skills, where there's really no real applicable new skills being learned. The people are now cheap labor or free labor or exploited labor for these companies. And obviously this goes all the way back to when prisons exploded after 1865. Why? What happened after 1865?
Hmm.
So when the slavery was so-called abolished, and these plantations wanted slave labor, or wanted labor that was still enslaved, and started mass arrests through black codes and other things, it kept the plantation system going for a long time. And then the switch became, industrial things, or they became things around the nature of sewing and textiles and all that kind of stuff. So all of this stuff was already built into the beginnings of how people in prison were being treated, and the excess labor, again, of doing, like prison labor cleans roads. Like they rent out prison labor to be maids and butlers and servants at the governor's mansion. I remember,
Like the Clintons, right?
like the Clintons,
Oh my goodness,
like the
right.
Clintons. And it happens at the state level, and it happens at the county level. Like these sheriffs in these different counties basically have a fiefdom. They have free labor that they use at their whim. They have control over these people. When we were doing the Jackson plan in Hinds County, and we got the first black sheriff elected, I remember we went to the jail, and this was like one of the weirdest, most disturbing things I've ever been a part of. As in, um, we were talking about policy, and I guess we were meeting with the warden of the jail in Hinds County, and so several of us were sitting at the table with the new sheriff. I was there, 4 or 5 other folks were there, 6, 7 other people were there. The meals were being served by the prisoners themselves, right? That's who was serving the meals. And everybody, for most people will come, that was normal. In fact, that's having that power seemed to be part of the point of it. It was like, you could sit back and chill in someone's whatever. And this is mostly black men being served by other black men from this prison labor. So this whole thing about power at the local sheriff's office, or the county in which the sheriffs largely are in control of the jails, going all the way up to the state. Power, control, money making, exploited labor. This fits into the whole pattern of how prisons and jails work in this country. And so therefore these private industries that get these contracts with these jails and or prisons are just an extension of that.
And of course, we know that Kamala Harris is not going to touch this in any way. But the DNC seems to think that she is bringing change 2.0. She's greater than President Obama. They were giving speeches last night, and it was, yeah, it definitely felt like Obama 2.0. And one of Obama's taglines in the speech was, anytime he'd say something like disparaging about Trump and people would go boo, he said, "Don't boo, vote." And then everyone would wave these vote signs. And I thought, we have had it. We are done.
There are many times, right? That anytime when those conventions happen and I start looking and I see all the fanfare, it's similar. Be like, oh God, here we go. People are all in it, and it's every 4 years. People are all in it, and they're all excited. Again, it dominates the media conversation because that's what it's supposed to do. And yeah, there's that feeling of like, oh, here we go again. And I mean, a great opportunity for media analysis in terms of how the media works and sort of building up somebody. We have this person who, like you mentioned yesterday, was and no one was concerned about them. No one thought they were spectacular. No one thought they were exciting. No one thought they were charismatic. No one thought anything fantastic about them, even within their own party. Give it 4 weeks later, and now they're speaking about this person as if they've been some sort of change agent all their life, or they're going to bring some spectacular policy change. But it's all make believe. It's all like smoke and mirrors. And Obama is still the champion of the smoke and mirrors approach, of being somebody who can, and maybe Kamala will study under Obama, and she will produce this sort of soaring rhetoric that he is able to produce. But people obviously are looking for something to believe in because they can't believe in themselves, which is the only thing that I can come out of this with. It's in addition to the propaganda. The question becomes, why is it so easy to propagandize people here in the United States? But but he does it for them. And I don't know. Hopefully you have time, but we should play some of that video of Obama doing some of his speech, because again, the rhetoric is like, mwah, this is how you
Yeah.
propagandize.
I was actually like, "Oh shit," because he has like the little articulated stutter. He was like, I was like, "Oh, he is in order for
He
sure,
is
but he's
great. I
lying.
know.
But he's
Yes.
lying. He's
There
so
were a
good at
couple of
it though."
times in 2008 where I was like, oh, am I going to go to a poll? It's like, oh, hell no. Yeah. It's like, oh God.
Oh,
No. But
oh.
he is really good. He is their evil propaganda genius. He knows how to do it. Doesn't matter if he, for the general public in the United States, again, who's ignorant of what's happening around the world or what's happening outside of their home, or don't understand or don't make the real connections between how the government works and why they can't make ends meet. The fact that he can give soaring rhetoric, that's all that matters. That's all that. And again, and people love Michelle too. I haven't
Yes.
seen a Michelle speech in a while. I know people have always liked her, or she's been somebody who's helped propped up Obama's image, first in the Black community with the idea of like, I think making him
Every
feel
great,
truly
yeah.
Black. Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean,
Mhm.
again, when people saw Black folks, when they saw that Obama had a Black wife, it was
I'm
done.
sure they lost their mind.
It was done.
And then those 2 beautiful babies came up on there, and it was like,
Oh my
"Oh,
God. It was done. It was
it was
done.
a wrap." Yeah.
It was. For Black folks. That was all they needed. That's all they needed. But now she, in her own right, has become this institution of her own. And the feelings that she doesn't really necessarily enjoy it in the same way Barack does or whatever like that. But I think at one point I read that her biography was the biggest selling biography of all time, or her autobiography, I should say, was the biggest
Wow.
selling of all time. That shit blew. I was like, I could not read the whole thing. I glanced through a few pages. I was like, this
I didn't read his
milk
either.
toast? No, I read the father. What is it? The I read the one with the father. Something about him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The dreams of the father, whatever it was. But I
Yeah.
could not get through hers. His wasn't that great either, obviously. But I could not get through. I didn't read his second one or whatever like that, or the one that he did when he got the $20 million check. But the fact that hers is, I mean, she's like another Oprah for like white women. You know what I mean? So I could see, again, I don't think she enjoys it, but if she ran or she wanted to hold these offices, she probably could go really far too. But all of this is about this, media manipulation. And the fact that you have somebody who's great. You say you have it? Oh yeah, let that run.
Let's see. I don't know where we are in the speech, but here we go.
We needed a leader with the character to put politics aside and do what was right. At a time when our economy was reeling, we needed a leader with the determination to drive what would become the world's strongest recovery. 15 million jobs, higher wages, lower healthcare costs.
Yeah.
Even it's the cadence.
The cadence. Yeah.
No,
and he does the little stutter and like a lot of jokes. They were making a lot of jokes about Trump. I think Michelle.
Oh, he did the size joke.
Yeah. And Michelle was talking about the black jobs. So I'm sure that got a lot of people on board.
Yeah. No, it's yeah. Go ahead, play. Yeah.
Let's play a little bit more.
Is usually worse.
Oh, that was a joke that I saw. Hang on, let me go back.
Between the real Americans, who of course support him, and the outsiders who don't. And he wants you to think that you'll be richer and safer if you will just give him the power to put those other people back in their place. It is one of the oldest tricks in politics. From a guy whose act has, let's face it, gotten pretty stale. We do not need 4 more years of bluster and bumbling and chaos. We have seen that movie before, and we all know that the sequel is usually worse.
And I was like, wow, yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's the pause.
That boy good.
Don Cheadle loves
He is
it.
good. He is good.
Yeah.
He doesn't mind silent. Like, part of it being a good speaker is that you don't have to fill the air every second with a new comment. You can wait, you can pause, wait it out, let people build. If there's a crowd reaction, let that crowd reaction go every now and then. Do what he did, like on occasions, jump into the crowd, jump into the reaction and change the mood of the crowd. And in terms of just an ability to orate, as you said, he's definitely just got a skill box. You know what I mean? Like, so the dude can pump. And so again, like in 2008, at least I saw why. It was like, oh, this is whatever. I never thought at that time he was going to actually be president, because I still was in that box of like, they're not going to actually elect a black dude president or whatever.
Right.
Like that's just not happening. But I saw all the skills of like how you can, command an audience and stuff like that, which he purely had being used or whatever. Now, Kamala, again, I just don't see the actual, and I'm sure she's getting better as she goes and all the rest of it as politicians do. But again, this his also is media marketing money that put him, and again, the black people didn't know Obama before the 2008 speech. And even then, when he ran at first, no one, and particularly in the black community, was even thinking he had a chance. So it wasn't like, even with those excellent oratory skills, was he projected to be the president, right? It was kind of like a wait and see thing. But with the money, right, and the grip and the way in which folks got to use or create that image of who he was or who he's supposed to be, that's what put him over. Seeing the family, all that kind of stuff. And again, like a segment of the white community got sold on him from sort of like the day-to-day organizing he did on the ground in the early the early states for the primary. But again, for the larger community, it wasn't until he won a couple of those early primaries, they saw the family, he had sort of the cadence, he spoke at black churches and all of that kind of stuff, and then his star just boomed after that. So Speaking of
And
a
I think
star. Oh, okay. Let's go ahead. No, you
oh,
go. You go. You go.
I was just gonna say, also ALC spoke last night, and I was watching her speech and her cadence. She was trying to be like more, I don't know,
Yeah.
charismatic or something. It didn't quite work. And then if the RNC was white, the DNC they were trying to make it be the blackest black. They started with Jesse Jackson. They rolled him out
Jesse was
there.
out.
Jesse was out, bless him, in his wheelchair on the first night, and there was like 5 minute standing ovation. Women are crying. They really relied on the 1960s. They were showing old footage, and I was like, wow, they're really
Not
going
the
in.
Panther footage though.
Not the
Not
Panther footage, though.
not
Mm-mm.
not
Rainbow Push. Rainbow
Rainbow
Push.
Push footage. Rainbow Push.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not the RNA footage. Not Republican New
No,
Africa
no, no.
footage. Not
No.
that. No. Okay. Just checking.
No.
Just checking.
Mm-mm. Yes, and I don't know who was there last night. Little John, I think, was there last night.
Oh, I think I heard about that.
Yeah, surprise guest.
Somebody said
Yeah.
Little
What?
John. What?
Yeah.
Wow, what a show. What a show. I mean, your boy is really, I was waiting for him to say, let the church say amen. Your boy really got it. He really got that cadence
Oh,
down.
he got
man.
it. He got
He's a
it.
preacher. I think if he ran right now, he could get elected.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think he probably still could do that. I mean, that's why again, I don't mean so the way, I mean, for the Republicans or whatever, I mean, Trump got elected and Trump is an idiot. And so I'm not suggesting that you only need these skills to be whatever like that. You could build a marketing and media campaign around an idiot. I mean, George Bush is proof of that, and Trump is proof of that, right? I mean, I've heard Trump's speech, and I've heard some people say that, oh, they see why the white working class connects. It could be my ignorance, but I'm just like, I've never heard Trump utter a word and thought like that was brilliant. I mean, I've heard surprising, and I've heard unintended honesty, which I do think maybe that's the point. I mean, so I remember Dave Chappelle has some joke where someone is trying to chastise Trump on like fact he didn't pay his taxes or whatever, and he was like, "Yeah, I didn't pay him because I was smart." And you know, like,
Wow.
yeah, I was like, like I'm not. Why would I do that? And and I think in everybody's heart and minds, whether from particular ends of the spectrum of politics, hell yeah, that resonates.
He
in some
speaks
ways.
to the commoners.
Yeah, but I just don't get. Somebody just put up the "We Got Killers" too, and somebody challenged.
Whew.
That one was great because it was like, again, we as lefties say shit like that all the time. It's like you chastise other people, the CIA, and like for somebody to say that, and they don't mean, they obviously don't mean it in the same way that we probably mean it, but it is the unintended earnestness of.
I'm going to agree with Brittany in the chat. She
What'd she
says
say?
it's obviously his mean-spiritedness and open xenophobia. Yeah, I feel like that ability to be like, you stupid idiot, your laugh is so blah, blah, blah. Like that, people love talking like that. And if you watch the DNC and RNC, it's just full of political correctness. Like me and my partner were talking about how political fashion is so boring. It's just like no patterns. Everything is. So I think the ability to like scrap a bit really appeals to people.
I mean, you want to be, right now it's about being entertained. Everybody is on their social media getting entertained real quick, getting this, microwave sensation. So now he's giving you that entertainment that, other politicians ain't giving you. And you be like, damn, I want to see this entertainment. I want to see what he's going to do next.
Oh, wait, I do have one more thing to add. So kind of emceeing last night was Tony Goldwyn, this actor who played the president of the United States on Scandal.
Oh yeah,
I remember,
which I thought was ridiculous. And like, are they giving the game away? Because I don't know if anyone cares about the Scandal little nugget, but the important thing is that they stole the election for him because they thought he was such a good guy and deserved to be president. Is it too on the nose, or am I reading into it too much? Do I watch too much TV?
You're not reading into it too much. They just don't. What they care about is that he's a famous person who played the president, and the details
was
don't
stolen. Who got the
details
election
don't
stolen
matter.
for him?
Yeah,
by a black woman.
By a black woman.
People in the audience are more like, "Oh my God, he's a famous person who played the president." So that gives them some sort of stature in your mind.
And he has a podcast where he talks about being a nepo baby. He's like, I'm a third generation nepo baby. My kids are fourth generation nepo babies.
Wait a
Whatever.
minute, what's a nepo
Like,
baby?
Yeah, what's a nepo baby?
oh, you don't know what a nepo baby is? So
No.
it
That's why we
started
asked.
as like a to be mad at rich people. So rich people's children are nepo babies, nepotism babies. But then the rich people were like,
Um,
it's cute. I'm a nepo baby. So like it kind of lost a bit of its
wow.
zing.
So the born with a silver spoon in your mouth is no longer a derogatory thing. It's like, I'm a nepo and I'm proud to be. Okay.
I'll tell you who's not a nepo baby. Erica Kane.
Oh, Erica.
He said,
What a transition.
Okay.
I mean, I had to figure out something. You know, it's my one job. I only got one job. Transitions.
No, you got 3 or 4 jobs, in which you do most of them well. Medical device is not one of your jobs, and you should not do that, of course. But yeah.
Oh my goodness! Speaking of, did y'all hear about this kid right here? Kid of the year in the Time magazine. 15-year-old scientist who could change how we treat skin cancer came up with a soap. He's from Ethiopia.
I've not heard of that.
Did
I've not
not.
heard of that.
Yeah. So, since we were talking about cancer and stuff like that and cure.
And he said a
Right.
soap is going to do it. What magazine?
Yeah.
Was
Time magazine.
that? Okay.
Yeah, 15-year-old from Ethiopia. His name is Heman Bekele.
Yeah, that's probably not his name, but okay. Um, but you know what would cure cancer, and it just you'll agree with, right? If they stop selling us non-food foods, right? If they stop selling us
Bioengineered. Start
Yeah.
looking for that on the back of y'all labels, please, y'all, because
It's everything already. We already,
It's a
yeah.
lot of
Monsanto.
bioengineered foods out here.
Yeah. See,
So-
that I completely agree with you. Doesn't mean
Yeah.
I don't put that stuff in my mouth, but I completely
I
agree
was
with
going
you.
to say, don't you drink coffee and have a burrito
Yeah.
for breakfast?
First of all, coffee
And a
is a
burrito.
plant.
It's a bean.
And
Same
a
thing.
burrito.
I hate to leave you with this, Eric, but I apologize.
What you leaving? That's right, you gotta leave, huh?
I gotta head out. I do.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead and take a break so you can, walk out with some dignity.
Wow.
And,
A little weird, but
I know what he meant, but yeah.
I was trying to,
end
trying
on
to
a
use
high
big,
So
note.
it's not as bad to see you just pop off. He does a transition and then you.
yeah, I was trying to use a big word. Sometimes I'll do that.
Mm.
All right, with that, don't start. Don't start.
It's Women's Wednesday, okay?
All right. This is a Remix Morning Show. We'll be right back
Peace,
right
everybody.
after these messages. Let's go. What happened to Nehu? Nehu? They don't say that in enough songs anymore. Big up to all the Nehuers. All right, welcome to the Remix Morning Show. At this time, I will please ask you to hit that like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel, or go to patreon.com, become a member over there and get footage that's rare. And also, what you can do is you can go to our website and donate, blkliberationmedia.org, blackliberationmedia.org. We very much appreciate it. Since we are being demonetized over here on this channel, definitely would love your support over there. All right, with that said, I wanted to talk about a one-hit wonder. Sometimes we don't give one-hit wonders enough love, but I did want to give my boy Tony Terry a shout out. That's right. He came out with one song that we all remember. Other than that, Antonio Terry, coming straight out of Washington, D.C., New Jack swing singer. He's also an actor. He had several R&B hits. I wouldn't say that. In the 80s and early 90s. He went to Duke Ellington School of Arts in Washington. He worked with a couple groups, one being the Boogie Boys, who had a rap song that came out a while ago. He started off with a song called She's Fly. Nobody really remembers that one. But they do remember when he came out with his self-titled album released in 1990 that had With You. And this was a big song for him. And really the only one I can really think about. The video was done, executive produced by Anita Baker and directed by Blair Underwood. So, he also was featured in some acting And Sisterella, co-produced by Michael Jackson. Mama I Wanna Sing. His woman, his wife, co-starring Stephanie Mills. So he's done some stage plays. And he also undertook the Wiz national tour as the Tin Man. So big up to him for doing some acting, and big up for him for having this one song. So big up to Tony Terry. Now, with that said, let's get back to the Remix Morning Crew. You know how we do. My way,
It's one of the best R&B
Like
songs.
him like that, because that was a great song.
Yeah, I
It
agree.
was. It was. It was. I didn't
It
never say
holds
it
up
wasn't.
too. No, I know it's a fantastic R&B.
Name another one.
A fantastic R&B song?
No, by Tony Terry.
Oh,
We need to though. I think that was his big one. You know, that's
His
it.
only one. I agree.
6 albums.
He had 6 albums.
Yeah. oh, come to my side now. Come to my side. That's all I'm saying. It's a one-hit wonder. Big up to Tony Terry for his one
Yeah,
hit.
and a fantastic one hit though.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And
That
as
was
soon as
his
he played that
albums.
song, I start swaying.
Yeah.
Everybody starts like, oh shit.
Yeah, that's a wedding song forever.
Mhm.
So big up to Tony Terry. All right. Well, I'll let y'all get to it. That's my little something.
That's just something. Erica Caines, how were you doing?
I am good. I had a very busy morning. I am now the chauffeur.
Oh, yes. With the
So,
with the revolutionary vehicle, you got to take.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming mom or and the kid.
Yeah, I had to take her to her appointment this morning. I was told about that this morning. So
She's like, you better get off that radio. I don't care about that. I got to go to such and such and such.
yeah, so that's been my day thus far. So I'm here.
Yeah.
What did you all talk about?
We talked a little bit about the DNC. There's a couple of other stories on that note we can continue with, but if you have something you want to break in.
Yeah, I don't have anything specific. So I watched it, and I will just say the DNC is a crash course in astroturfing for sure. Because it's parts bewildered, shamed, embarrassed, angry. But it's just I don't know what to make of it because it was so much going on. And so I mean Little John was performing and they had the delegates in Georgia putting up the H-Town sign, and it was a lot. And then they had California Love playing for Cali, and I don't know what was going on with that DJ. He was really feeling it. But then the speeches, you know, the Obamas, of course, were the highlights. But Obama does this thing where he jabs at the left charismatically.
Oh, yes.
Because he was sure to tell us, it's not about getting what you want. And he snuck that in there after saying, we have to all unite together to get out of fascism. So I was finding that's interesting because they always say, like, voting is not the end all be all. We understand that. But we have to vote out fascism. So it's like, well, if it doesn't do that, then what is it doing? Like,
he's an incrementalist to his heart, I think he firmly believes it and always has, of course. And I remember what's that other famous thing that he says? He didn't begin it, but like he popularized it again, was "Don't let perfect stand in the way of good" or something like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think he's famous for those kind of rhetorical, like you said, basically they're shots at the left, and a way to, again, none of these people, and I'm not again suggesting these other folks were real left, but when they're part of the so-called liberal wing of their party, they primary their own. They openly allowed their other the folks who had secure seats to be primaried and pushed out. Right, the Cori Bushes, the Bowmans. Again, not claiming that they're left, but obviously more liberal in terms of their party, the party apparatus. They clearly have no love for people on the left or more liberal. It's like this. They don't care at all. It's like they will kick them out at a moment. And that's how you see AOC is brought into the fold and now it seemingly knows her role. She is now fully brought in and understands her role
Mhm.
through both stick and carrot. She
Yeah.
understands who she is within the party, and stop all that idea about her potentially primarying somebody or whatever. And again, it's not just to claim that she was ever a revolutionary or a leftist or anything like that, but she came in with particular liberal politics
Mhm.
that were challenging to the status quo, but quickly was made to heal or understood again what her role was. And I think that, and she's in day one, she played that role.
Yeah. I think there's also the argument that essentially this has always been the case for AOC, and that her running with DSA and running under that role because she does the bartender bit, but then admits that she was working with the what she was working in DC as well. Like she's been long time in politics.
Mhm.
So this whole workers narrative, I think that possibly is something that she came in through to be able to have this position because she's still running with that narrative, even though everybody can see that she has completely been she's won over. Like
Yeah,
there's no
yeah.
pulling her back to the left, or if there ever was one. But to that point, there's conversations I've been having. What do you think about the idea of Kamala kind of sort of cooing her way into this position?
Oh, she
Because
definitely did.
yeah, because if you listen to the well, I do know when Marilyn Mosby was under fire, there became like a network of Black women lawyers across the country, and Kamala was part of that network, and like Angela also Brooks out here, and who's running for Senate as part of that network. So there exists that network, and Marilyn Mosby, like I mentioned before, last week, I have to pull it up. Actually, wrote an op-ed in favor of or in defense of Kamala Harris. Saying that she understands what it's like to be a Black woman prosecutor up against, yada yada yada. But in a lot of those speeches that a lot of the Black women in particular made, um, and also a lot of the some of the more progressive, I guess you would say, moderate mostly, what they were talking about were the relationships that they had with Kamala Harris, which led me to think that there was a building of these relationships so that she could position herself in this way. And I think Nancy Pelosi, when I look at the way that she just so easily stepped aside for Hakeem Jeffries, there's a thing that I think that the Democrats are doing because they're saying it in a particular way, narrative wise, about making room for the next generation. So now that even with Joe Biden, it's clear that they pushed him out of that position, right? But the narrative around Joe Biden is he's stepping down for the
Oh
next
yeah.
generation, right? And then we see the next generation just so happens to be these Black faces, but nonetheless, there's these seemingly what they're pushing off as progressive, and I think
Yeah.
AOC currently is trying to buy her position to be in that spot for when they step
Mhm.
down for the next generation.
Oh yeah. I think that's all true. I think even within party formations of a liberal, moderate, conservative party like the Democratic Party, they're infights. Whether we recognize them as again being something that's going to change who the party is. It's people infighting for power, right? And some of that is along the lines of some politics, some of it is along the lines of ego. I think Kamala definitely cooled. I actually give her credit for it because again, like it's spoken about in terms of just looking at it as a political entity or whatever. She was nobody's favorite. Nobody wanted her. She was vice president, had low level duties. The only person pushing Kamala was Kamala. You know what I mean? She was the one who had the dreams of, as I joked continually of like, waiting for Biden to either die or be infirmed or to somehow, I think, the easiest path was somehow that during his term as president, something would happen and she would become president that way and then get to run or whatever like that. I
Yeah.
definitely think there's like this stuff happening in the background with Kamala and her team. But I also think that when they decided after that debate that they can no longer hold on to Biden, the world has, his senility has been exposed to the world. that they acted to remove him, but not to put her there because they didn't think she had a chance. To her credit as an inside ball player, but then whatever she was trying to accomplish, she said, "Oh hell no!" She got her team together. She even got Biden in line because remember he made his announcement, and then shortly after making his announcement, when he's finally gave in to the idea that he could no longer win because the money was leaving, the party was pushing him out. He said he supported his vice president. I don't believe that whole story that, that was surprise to her. She knew what was happening.
Mhm.
It was that time period to organize, whip them delegates in shape, got those governors in line, told those other people, and got the black women in line, got the black folks in line to be like, look, y'all want me in? Yeah, if y'all, then we need to fight right now. And let everybody else in the party know. Is the narrative that you want, that you pushed out this black woman who was the vice president next in line, because if you do that, then all of a sudden the black folks are threatening not to support you, not over policy, not over genocide, not over what they do for the black community, strictly by the identity politics that we live in right now. If you don't let this person get their turn, then we will do everything in our power to not support or, maybe short thereof of not voting for you. But it will be understood that we will be angry and that these depressed numbers that you're already experiencing, they will not get the bounce. And I think she did a quote unquote masterful inside job of making sure all the other potential names that were thrown out there lined up behind her and understood. If you try to challenge me, you're not going to get black women support, i.e., the maybe one of the most important, other than the moneyed class, one of the most important factions within the Democratic Party. You're not going to get those that interest, people pounding the pavements. That ain't going to happen. So, do you want that fight? Let's see how you do with that fight, as opposed to coronating me in moving to being the person that is the next person in line to be president. So I think she fought a massive fight in that way. So,
No, I do think because so the debates were terrible, and I don't think anybody thought that wasn't a setup in some ways, because they had to know that he was underprepared or he was not able to do that. But nonetheless, immediately she came in defense of Biden, right? Which is why I'm thinking that she was able to play a sort of even tail kind of role, right? That she's still in support. But I think where the shift was that Zoom call, when 88 million could be made in a matter of hours, Nancy Pelosi's on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And so that shift happened. So then it became a numerous amount of Zoom calls, right? Then it became white women, white men, black men, queers, like teachers for, union workers. There's a plethora, all making tens of millions of dollars at the end of each call. And then when you see the narrative shift around Kamala, right? Or particularly even around Palestine dealing with Kamala. And that's coming off the back of AIPAC's video that was released about the use of TikTok and the black use of TikTok and all the black connections and how they have to disconnect and have some way of getting through that. Like, I don't see that all of these things are not playing a part in how she was able to pivot so strongly, because she did not have the support. And it's only been, she's on her 5th week now. Mm-hmm. Maybe. Like, we're now entering 5 weeks. And the narratives that have come out, the language, right? The use of joy, the use of the campaign, like the use of the when they're in these campaign and the use of the people. Mm-hmm. The joy thing it's wild to me, because that took off like.
No, this is all marketing. This is all marketing right now.
Branding. And she's known to brand herself. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think people are really. My frustration has always been the use of politicians as influencers, like AOC in particular has mastered social media, right? To brand herself in a particular way that is not the way of her policies and the things that she votes on, right? So she can learn to say a thing. Same with Jasmine Crockett, same with Cori Bush. Like they learn, they have a particular skill in marketing themselves. And while we can argue that this has always been a part of politics, right? Branding oneself. There is an insidious way that it is happening, because even to the use of identity politics, right? I personally believe, and this is why I started saying identity reductionism so long ago, and I actually started saying it when Kamala started running at the end of 2018, 2019. I was saying identity reductionism because of the way that people were misunderstanding or discrediting identity politics as something that's valid. There's validity to identity politics. What identity reductionism is just strip that away. There's no material basis for any of it, other than Black, woman, queer. Oh, they check off all these boxes, right? So then people as voters don't necessarily have to care about any of the policies, because they can see themselves now or see themselves represented in a governing body or in some sort of power structure, right? Whereas they know they don't have any power or political power themselves. So identity reductionism is a way that they have been able to and they mastered that in the last 10 years, I want to say, honestly. And then include this weaponization of anti-Blackness, which is anti-Blackness is valid. But the use of it online to attack colonial struggles and to then defend Kamala Harris in this moment it's like there's a collision happening, that you can see the nonprofit industrial complex and the social media hashtag complex, and like all of this has landed us right here to this very point where we're at. So last night for me was just like, when I say I was bewildered by it, it's like it's a mind fuck, because it's like you've seen it happening and you've been saying this is what's happening, and then when it happens, it's like, Jesus Christ, like now what? Now, like, how we,
I mean, I go back, like, I think Obama obviously was the person who allowed the identity reductionist thing to explode. And again, like as we were saying earlier, at least with Obama, you saw all the machinery around him, but you saw the particular talents that he had to make the machinery work. With Kamala, this is strictly machinery, right? This is not about her particular talents at orator, and it has nothing to do with policy. She is the same political animal as Biden was. She's the same political animal as Obama was. She's the same political moderate animal that all of these Democrats are. She has no desire whatsoever to change any policy on what's happening in Palestine. That is people falsely putting some jacket on her that does not exist around her. She's thinking about a ceasefire. She listened to me so empathetically. That's all bullshit for people to be like, come into this circle and vote for this person. But that is all the machinery of the marketing class, the branding class. As soon as, again, I think there was a real struggle for a short period of time, whether or not, because again, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Jeffries, were all pushing for some sort of quote unquote open process. No one knows really what they meant, but that was a way of saying, we're not just giving this shit to Kamala, because they didn't trust her in terms of like her being able to carry the stick or carry the brand. No one thought did you see her doing the time when she was trying to be the president? Did you see that performance? All that was going through their head around whether or not she could carry the brand. And again, to her quote unquote credit of like what she actually did, she was like, fuck that. I'm seizing this. And I think to what you're saying, the fact that she got the Black women or Black people in general on board early, or getting that messaging out. Do you really want to fucking challenge me? I think that was the part that got people lined up. But I think the money machine, once it was decided, like she was the one to go with, boom, they made her in this last 4 weeks. They've made her, the branding, the Black joy, highlighting the call, getting all these people on the call, the amount of money raised, all of that machinery around her, I think is really the phenomenal aspect of politics. It's nothing to do who she is or whatever like that. She may fit some boxes that they want to check off, but she as a replacement for Biden is like, all right, let's do it. Let's roll with this.
Yeah, because I think, well, so AOC has no shame, obviously, but even standing up there and saying that, she fought tirelessly and she's up all day, all night fighting for the ceasefire, and that's just not a thing. I mean, they're just blatantly saying absolutely no arms embargo. So what is a ceasefire without the stoppage of supplying them the weapons? So, it's this kind of double talk that they're doing, or saying that she's a down home, she comes from a working class background because she worked at McDonald's, but then also Medicaid for all is off the table. We're still fighting for freaking 15, if at all, that's even acknowledged by the White House, right? So like it's absurd. And to see the UAW stand up there and say, even to say that Joe Biden, in his sense, that he's stood with workers, and it's like, well, the railroads, like he's a scab too, so we're supposed to misremember or not remember or see it differently. Even talking about they're going to be environmentalists and ignore their complicity, this administration's complicity in the pipelines currently, and buying out all the land and the drilling that they approved of, right? So it's so much double talk under this administration, and then also saying she is going to carry it out. The whole purpose of Michelle and Obama was to say that she is going to be Obama 2.0. Michelle ended it with saying hope is back, right? This is like they're branding this shit, like, saying they're selling it, and to see, people in my family like because it's a good production.
Yeah.
You're like, wow, damn. I mean, y'all got Little John out here.
This is Hollywood. They've been doing this for how long?
The people inside had a good time. The energy and all that. It's to be amongst that. I don't see how you wouldn't get swept up in that, right? And that's the point. And they wanted to make it a good time and a party and joy and make it completely different from the other side. Look, they don't have fun like us. They don't have joy over here. Look at that, miserable.
Yeah, our stadium is full. Look at theirs, and they've successfully kept the protest away. There hasn't been enough of the protests. And again, I think the timing of it, like in terms of what they wanted to do in terms of pushing Biden out, I think it does coincide with we got to do this before the convention, because I think in some ways they did think having a Kamala in there, whether the policies, even though the policies are the same, they can give some credence to they can put out a better tagline. Oh, for you far lefties, she's thinking about this, or she's empathetic. Or remember she one time said we need a ceasefire. Remember that? She said that. Doesn't matter what she actually will do. And when they're having these they just finished these fake negotiations where they're saying that they were fighting for a ceasefire. Basically, okay, if you agree with everything that Israel tells you to do, then we can have a ceasefire. Right. That's basically the proposal. Every time Hamas says, all right, we'll agree to these 4 or 5 things to get the ceasefire, then Israel comes back with another 2, another 5, another 6, another 7, because the goal is not to have a ceasefire. The goal is to continue, because of the media narrative, which control, like in terms of how the mainstream media is portraying this as some sort of war between Hamas and Israel. The way the media narrative, again, now is portraying Kamala as a fresh face coming in, whatever. They understand it. They control the liberal media narrative as to how these things are portrayed, how these things are viewed, that for the most part, people are willing and ready and still hooked on the propaganda to buy into it automatically. And as long as they do their good job of putting on a good show, of having the right faces, then at least it gives them a chance. I'm not suggesting that, with 2 months left, that she is definitely sweeping her way into the White House. The working class whites are still mad. Yeah. But she's put them in a better position than they would have been if they stuck with Biden, because now they've energized segments of the base support of the Democratic Party, i.e. Black folks, i.e. younger people, that obviously Biden was not able to hold on to and was not holding on to, and which again the debate just exposed it to the fullest. That now they've put themselves in a better position to let their part of the marketing machine do its work or whatever.
Yeah. I just think it's really it's a very interesting time that we are living in right now. Because to just see it play out is I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. Like, I don't know what else to say about it, really, honestly, that I haven't already identified as this is the problem. Even to the point of how they're doing these sort of passing off the torches. When we're looking at the complicity of a Linda Thomas Greenfield or Lloyd Austin, like they're putting us in these particular positions in these seats, right? And then that becomes, well, this is our ancestors' dream. We fought hard and long and people died for this, And then when you look at what the actual position is, and then I also think of like, what is the complicity of the media? Like, what is the accountability of the media? Because the branding does not happen on its own. Like MSNBC right now is full of pundits that come out of that administration. Simone one and Jen Psaki and who's now the Speaker of the House, not the Speaker of the House, the Press Secretary, Corinne. She was running, she started as a pundit on MSNBC, and then she became a part of Kamala's campaign until that fell flat. And now she is Press Secretary, so the idea that this is not a narrative, like these are just objective thinkers, they are coming out of the Democratic Party and they are coming out of this specific administration, if not the last 10 years, right? Nicole Wallace is a freaking insider. Like she was writing for Bush, and the fact that she gets to play like some sort of progressive moderate is ridiculous, right? Even, what is his name? The one who used to be the chair of the RNC, who's he's a part of the Lincoln Project.
Michael Steele.
Yeah, like he gets to rebrand himself as well. It was like you were part of the Republican Party at its worst, like even during the Tea Party era. So like I don't even understand where like Donald Trump is so significant that all these people put down their swords and decided to take up arms with the Dems. Like that's not what's happening. And when you look at, or when you listen, right, there's no policies really. And Political had a headline that they're not releasing any policies until afterwards. And I think they're just saying certain things, but they're not saying anything specific. But the things that has been said was emphasis on dealing with the private sector and making, these even in housing, right? When she talked about housing, she talked about making partnerships with the private sector. So there's more neoliberalism to come. Like, so that is an emphasis on a Kamala Harris, who can carry that torch, right? And who would buy into a Kamala, because I don't think that they disbelieve that she believes in these things. I think ideologically she is aligned. This has always been her way, but who would buy into that? And I think they saw the buy-in at that 88 million.
Yeah. I think there's a faction of the elite class that still thinks it knows it can control even a Trump figure, but still thinks that Trump colors outside the lines to the point where they'd rather deal with somebody who's coloring inside the lines, right? The neoliberal model is a model they'd rather deal with. And so I think that's partly why the idea that that part of the factions of the political elite and the economic elite would rather have certain types of Democrats in than Republicans. Some of them, right? A portion of them. I think Trump represents, even within the Republican body, somebody who's not a Rockefeller Republican in the old ways. So I think, again, within these parties, there are factions of people who have different ways in which they think the capitalist agenda should be enacted. And for us on the outside, we see, we can tell the difference between them, but we think there are minimal differences, and they mean nothing in terms of who's going to actually be still controlling the economics of the world, the politics of the world, how the military will be overtly used to continue to control those politics and economics. But within those parties and within those factions, for them, it may mean, a few $1 billion shifting one way or another, and that's important for them to fight for. So I do think there's like it's in any party, is in any organizational grouping. I think there's factions that are fighting, even if they have an overall agreement. They at least there's a claim of overall agreement in what we're supposed to be doing. But there's going to be those factions within it. And I think even within the Democrats and Republicans, there's still factions that are fighting to say, what is the best way to get our faction in, even if the overall agenda is, well, we're never going to let the left in. We're never listening to what the left has to say. That's their real enemy. They may fight like cats and dogs within, but at the end of the day, they understand that there is one side of the barricade that they're on, that they're having infighting on. But for the rest of us, we are the true enemy. We are the ones that all those resources will be used against when it comes to stopping organizing, activism, the media play around what the left is, the idea around not just a ceasefire in Gaza, but the self-determination of Palestine, right? The fact that we've settled in on conversations around a ceasefire, which I do get in terms of like a quote unquote media strategy, but the media plays it as in, oh, that's all they're calling for, and that's what they'll put out. Understanding that there's a larger left that's like this is not about a ceasefire. This is about the genocidal commitment of Israel and the United States and the West to take all of that land from the Palestinians, to build their bastion, their military base through Israel, to further control the economics and the policy of what's happening in the Middle East, the resources of the Middle East, to team up in Israel with the Saudi Arabia, with the Jordan, with an Egypt, to make sure that their alliance of capitalist interests is stronger than an axis of resistance.
Yeah, and not just the Middle East, but Africa too. A lot of the intent to keep the grip on the Sahel while maintaining a grip on North Africa and the Middle East is for that the resources to extend that pipeline through there. Like they have not made that a secret at all, especially since the Nord Stream was blown up. But that it's always been about that. I think there was a senator or one of the congressmen that made it like a Freudian slip and said, they're in Africa for the exploiting Africa. Yeah, and I think there was another word that he was trying to say exploring, and he said exploiting. It's like, well, yeah, but I think that's always been the case. So it's just a very interesting dynamic, even with the seeing the uncommitted. Like I just been saying, they just have to speak a little softer these days because no one is listening to, because they're still conceding and there's no concession on their side, right? All the concessions are being made on behalf of the Democratic Party. And that's my confusion. Well, not really my confusion with Nora. Nora's always kind of been. I remember Ajambo Baraka and Robert D.G. Kelly and Nora had a panel discussion right after Biden came into office, and Nora was adamant that we are in a better position for Palestine under Biden, because you remember Trump just gave away Jerusalem. So Biden, we would be able to push left. And me and Salifa were in that chat like, girl,
look where we are now.
But always, I've never kind of forgotten that, because I've watched certain things that it's been said, and so to see that they would say, well, I'm not gonna accept a position with the Green Party, a VP position, unless they concede if a ceasefire is called, which is really truly the bare minimum of things, and not even a real thing at this point. But to ask for a concession for that, to concede to the Democratic Party and fold into that, is just like, what is the objective there? I mean, I guess in academic speak, it makes sense to Nora, but I say that to say, like, it's just there's a lot of things that play currently happening that just is not feasible in the way that we're even approaching or understanding any of these electoral processes or the use of the electoral process. Like, I can admire what Claudia is doing insofar that I understand that PSL runs candidates to build a base.
Well, let's bring up the ear doctor and continue on with the capitulation of the so-called left to the Democratic Party, because I think that I want to further explore that topic, whatever. But the ear doctor.
Hey, y'all, speaking of keeping Africa down, as y'all seen on the thumbnail, they got an outbreak emergency in Africa on monkeypox. So that's another way they do it. I mean, what do they do over in these laboratories? Like just come up with shit just to be like, all right, now let's come up with chicken pox. Let's come up with monkeypox. Why do they name them after these animals? I don't get it.
Where is it? The
chicken pox was developed
monkeypox.
Oh,
huh?
Never mind. I'm not going to argue with you about this stuff.
Huh?
Where was it? Where is the outbreak?
Let me see. Where is this outbreak at? Go ahead and look it up, people. I'll get that information to you. But it's definitely a one in Africa right now. It's a global emergency, as they would say. And speaking of laboratories, when y'all talking about this whole, the voting thing, they're definitely trying to get this black man vote. And we got the Black Man Lab just was in Chicago yesterday. So they're really trying to pull the black men in to vote for Kamala. So as you can see right here, Black Men Emerges in 2024, bringing dynamic views. So they keep coming to the Black Man Lab, as you can see right here. And in media, how they spin it is they say, fists raised in the air to discuss the candidacy of Vice President Kamala. We put our fists in the air every week for libation and for our ancestors. It's not because of Kamala, but you know how they are twisted. So yeah, that's why you need to come. You on mute over there, Kamala. That's why you need to come to Black Liberation Media to get some real media.
No, I was going to agree with you. There's always the media will use, again, they have their own agenda. They have their own agenda that they're pushing. And again, we want to use the media because they reach millions of people. But it's definitely a trade-off, because since they have their own agenda, what you're trying to get across, you'll be lucky to get some points across, right? And you have to know that by getting some points across, you're losing other points. And so you're hoping people can hear what you're saying through the media analysis that's being presented. So that's always an issue. Yeah.
Yeah, they really need the black man vote on this one, don't they? Because they realize how many black men is like, Kamala. I don't know if I'll be voting.
I definitely think it's I definitely think there's issues around a decreasing amount of black people, maybe slightly more black men. But I also think there's a media issue. There's a media narrative that is far outweighing the amount of slippage that's actually happening. I think there's a media narrative that wants to put people that wants to suggest that somehow the slippage is people are going to Trump. I've not seen enough analysis just enough analysis to show me that that's really true. Again, in the Democratic Party, the highest percentage of voters that they get is black women. The second highest percentage of voters they get is black men. And so when they talk about the slippage to Trump, I think that's also a right-wing talking point that liberal media will sometime pick up on. I'm not saying there's not a slippage, but I also think the ways in which they talk about black male slippage is also concocted within the idea of what the media is trying to put out there, what certain types of media are trying to put it out there.
Yeah, it's definitely.
Yeah, I also think it's a lot of so like because I do hear those conversations. Like, I mean, there are conversations happening. Like, people do not like Kamala for whatever reason, whether it's valid or not. But there is the conversation of like, I'm gonna vote for Trump, right? But I do want to just point out that that's conversations happening by people who don't vote anyway. So a lot of that shit's being said is like facetious or for spectacle, like the way, like when you on the block and niggas just talking shit, that's the kind of things that they don't vote anyway. But they want to make a point that they're definitely not going. If they were to vote, they're definitely never going to vote for her. Is really what the point is. But yeah, I don't think that I don't take it as something like, oh, people are going to run out, like all these black men are going to run out in droves, because most of them are not even registered to vote, right? They're just talking shit. But I think the emphasis on that we're not voting for her.
All right. Well, we'll let you go ahead and handle that in the background, and we'll take a break right here on the Remix Morning Show. Let's go. All right, we're going to take y'all here and there, take y'all to a time and place. Let's take you back to 1969. This is the Jackson 5 off that album Diana Ross Presents the Jackson 5. Yeah, and the name of that song is I Want You Back, mixed with 1995 ODB, Old Dirty Bastard, off the album Return to the 36 Chambers, the dirty version. And the name of that song is Shimmy, Shimmy, Y'all, Shimmy, Yeah, Shimmy, Yeah. Give me the mic so I can take you away. Home on a natural dog, bon voyage. The Brooklyn sport. Wu-Tang Killer Bees on the swarm. Rain on your college ass disco dawn. And you can even fuck. Oh, man, don't get me started. Go Killer Bee. All right, well, there you go. So, boom. There's your remix on the remix right here. With that said, let's get back to the Remix Morning crew. And, yeah, hit that like button, subscribe, and do what you do. Go to the website and donate. BLKLiberationMedia.org. BlackLiberationMedia.org. All right, with that said, let's get back to the crew. You know how we do. Yeah.
You had to put your fronts in to even sound like them because you did a good job. I was like, wait a minute. I feel like that's Old Dirty coming back from the grave.
Wu-Tang Killer Bees on the swan. Rain on your college ass disco dawn. Yeah, man. ODB.
Damn, that was good. You did an excellent job there. Excellent job.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I don't appreciate your talk on where diseases come from, vaccines, and the rest of it. But when you do the DJ shit, I'm like, you are a fucking master, my son. You are a master.
Oh boy, it's all good. You know, I am a doctor. Let's get that straight.
Of the musicology.
So when it comes to some of this health stuff,
no. Let's have a hard line.
Let's go back to who's been most consistent and healthiest on this platform and not sick.
You don't have no one's medical right. You don't know that.
I know by being here every week, 3 days a week, who's sick and who's not.
But I'm
he's a healthy dude. I mean, he's getting old. He's healthy. He's a little slow on that basketball court when I see those commercials.
Oh, but the shot goes in. That's all that
matters.
I don't know how long. Because once you're good, you don't have to do as much.
How long it take you to film all that? I mean, you know.
And it don't take long because I make all my shots. I'm nice.
Okay.
So I'm nice at certain things, and I will not dim my light on it. One is cooking. One is cooking.
I had the cooking. I experienced the cooking.
Oh shit! Why did I even bring it up? All right, I'll let y'all get back to y'all conversation.
I ain't get no breakfast.
Oh, you didn't have breakfast? Well, you know.
No, I came back. What no breakfast?
You should have came. You know, you got to come over the night before and stay, and then you get breakfast.
Whoa! All right, let me get out of here.
What up? Remix Morning Show. How are y'all doing? We got over 326 people checking us out, hearing us. And we got a couple of donations. You know, I took a little pass, look at the background. Mm-hmm. We did get a couple of donations. Not as much as I would appreciate, but you know, some. There's still some time left for folks to give more if they wish to. They want to support. If you really down and you want to support, you know what I'm saying? Then just give a little bit. Remember, we can't get any more money on YouTube. So we need the support from other places. You know, we don't do this often, but I will drop it in the chat one more time because I know y'all might have lost your mind and didn't pick that up and get that money in like right away. But I appreciate you here and every other day. Ricky, I brought something up. I brought something up to continue on this conversation. So because when I saw this the first time, again, it's the uncommitted and it's the appearance. Again, this is supposed to be, you know, a left platform, Democracy Now! I've been on it. Other folks have, and they're talking about the run-in they had or the meeting that Layla, I'm going to mess up her last name, had with Kamala Harris, Kamala, and pressing, and here it's termed as pressing the VP for an arms embargo on Israel. So let's listen to a couple of seconds of it.
Assad Terfe told the Associated Press he too met with Harris and pressed for a ceasefire and that she, quote, gives us the best chance of achieving peace in that region moving forward, unquote. Meanwhile, Harris's national security advisor later wrote on X, quote, VP has been clear. She will always ensure Israel's able to defend itself against Iran and Iran-backed terrorist groups. She does not support an arms embargo on Israel. She will continue to work to protect civilians in Gaza and to uphold international humanitarian law, unquote. For more, we're joined in Southfield, Michigan, by one of the people who met with Vice President Harris. Leila El-Abed is the co-chair of the Uncommitted National Movement. Leila, welcome back to Democracy Now! You briefly spoke with the presidential candidate, Vice President Harris, on Wednesday before she addressed that crowd where she was interrupted by Palestinian solidarity protesters. Can you talk about where you were when you talked to her and what you said?
Yes, thank you, Amy, for having me on. When Abbas Alawi and I had this moment to have a brief exchange with Vice President Harris and Governor Tim Walz, we were kind of backstage of the rally in a photo lineup. And it was just a very brief exchange. And I can go in a little bit more detail of, what was said, what I said. In my exchange with her, I got very emotional. I told her, my name is Leila, I'm Palestinian. And in that moment, I was thinking about my community. I was thinking about the two community members I had just spoken to the day prior who told me they had lost over 100 members of their family each in Gaza. And I told Vice President Harris that I said, right now, Michigan voters want to support you, but we need a policy change that is going to save lives in Gaza right now. My community members are losing tens to hundreds of their family members. Will you talk to me about an arms embargo? Will you talk to Uncommitted about an arms embargo? Will you meet with us? And she said, yes, she would meet with us. And so I did feel, I was very emotional in that brief exchange. I did feel like her sympathy and empathy towards me was very genuine.
So that's the part I wanted to stop on, because again, these are feelings that are being expressed by this person, that suggesting that she is, again, to have a whole segment on Democracy Now! On something that was not a meeting. It was online of a photo op where they got to shout some words out to this person. And now it's being put out there as if, one, she was sympathetic, two, that she was open to meeting around a ceasefire / arms embargo, where again, Harris's direct reaction to that even being put out in left media was to have her chief of staff or someone put out a statement that says, oh, hell no, we said nothing like that. In fact, we said the exact opposite, that we're here to support Israel. And then two, to subscribe that she was empathetic because you said something and you felt some empathy. So this is not even about Kamala's reaction. This is more about the narrative of a liberal left that's trying to convince us that our best chance is, again, holding on to the Democratic Party and their operatives to suggest that they somehow are seeking justice or a ceasefire or an arms embargo, when none of that is the case. So we're putting this fantasy vision of who the Democratic Party is or who their operators are and what they're going to do. And that's what, and again, I think that's part of this larger conversation of what holds us back in terms of having a real oppositional politic to these people, because we time and time again fall back into this conundrum of, or this idea of somehow our only hope is to convince the Democrats to do something which they're not going to do anyway.
Right. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I don't know what to make of it, because I do think that they should just speak a little softer now, because they came in a couple months ago very strong, that they were adamant they were going to hold this line, and you see that get chipped away. And I do think that, to the Dems' credit, what they do is single out leadership, right? And so they do have these interpersonal conversations with particular people and not with the larger group, or they have these small closed door meetings, because it would have went the same way, I feel like, if they did have a meeting. She would have made some promises that they had no intention of keeping, because they don't have to do that. There's no fundamental way to hold them accountable.
Mm-hmm.
And the uncommitted, as you can see, they have no real line that they're holding outside of Gaza. But, that shifts from the ceasefire to the embargo. Like, that shifts. And everyone who's in that movement is not actually calling for an arms embargo. Some people are just fine with so there's no unity even in that base. Which is why you would see some people happy with what happened with that photo op line, and then others out of that base like, no, that's bullshit, right?
Yeah.
But it's still all under uncommitted. And then the panel with Keith Ellison is just wild because we have I know on Mix What I Like on Jazz website, and then also on Hip Communist, we have the audio of Dhoruba and Keith Ellison getting into it over AIPAC, and the Dems continuous bending of the knee to AIPAC. Like, there's no Democratic person, there's nobody on the Democratic ticket that can be on the Democratic ticket without bending a knee to Israel or to AIPAC. So that conversation, just knowing that that's what Keith Ellison is coming out of and trying to make a defense for that because he went to Palestine and he's seen it. So it's okay that AIPAC is doing these things. And then see him on a panel with the uncommitted voters in Minnesota as they're, promoting Tim Walz as this, this great guy because he knew to put Keith Ellison in there, and that's how we got the charges for George Floyd. Like, I just think there's they're doing a thing, and it's, for me, it's like, I haven't fleshed it out, much better at writing it. But it's happening. And I think it really is an accumulation of what we've seen unfold in this last 10 years under movement work, whether it be the hashtag movement, or how people are using TikTok and Twitter and all this space, because there's the language even, right? It's the nonprofit NGO language. It is the language that's coming from Twitter and those particular sects of radical liberal feminism. Like, there's Black joy is not just some random thing either. Joy has been a thing that's been said, especially in terms of when there's a criticism against the Democratic Party, and folks like, oh, you don't just let folks enjoy things, right? And so then it's like, oh, and the things
it's like stop being a hater,
right? The things is imperialism and colonization and war. Those are things that they want to be able to enjoy. But again, that's what that comes from. Even when you remember when Biden won, the emphasis on the incitement of people running out into the street and the celebrations, this is a new day. And that is a particular narrative that they're running with as if to say the Democratic Party would offer us something different. And they absolutely are not. Yeah.
And I think, for people who are, for the folks who are trying to meet with Kamala for the uncommitted leadership, I'm not by any means suggesting that they don't have sincerity in terms of what they're trying to achieve, whether a ceasefire or arms embargo. I just think they have I just think their analysis of the situation is so completely off base that it is delusional to sincerely think that this person is going to do something for you. And that if again, we must take the hard line in the sand and say, for those who, again, just talked about the other day, Michigan may be a place where folks do not vote for Harris, that they may lose Michigan and therefore lose the presidency. And that's okay. That's okay. Sit it out. Make them lose, so that even if you think that in your analysis, in your idea, that you have some bargaining chips, you have to show and prove. If you claim over and over again, every 2 years, every 4 years, that you're going to hold the Democrats accountable, you're going to hold them accountable, but yet you do nothing to show them that if they lose you, then they may lose these races, or they may lose the opportunity to rule, or their faction to rule, then you have no power. You can do nothing. So at the very least, if you believe in this idea that you're going to push these politicians in some way, you got to show them that they're going to lose without you. So you have to be out and take the slings and arrows. You know what I mean? Let them talk bad about you. So what? They weren't giving you anything anyway. So if you really believe that you're going to push them, then make them lose, have them come back to you, and at least then you may be in a position to bargain. Again, I don't believe in any of it, but you may be, if you believe in this, then you may be in a position to bargain. But if you're not willing to even do that, then you've lost at the beginning. then it all is talking points. It all is rhetoric. It all is empathy. She held my hand. She looked at me with tender eyes. All of this stuff is like, that's your policy win. That's your win for whatever you're trying to achieve. That's not a win. You're trading off for nothing. For nothing.
Concession.
Yeah.
Great show today, guys. Y'all really rapping, cooking, doing all that stuff. Y'all putting it together. Appreciate that. And real quick, Ricky, monkeypox is spreading through Congo, Rwanda, Uganda, and Kenya.
Oh.
All right. Y'all got any things coming up you need to let anybody know about?
Thank you for that. Oh, should I go first?
No, me first.
Go ahead, you first.
Well, I do want to say shout out to Josh because Black Men Bill, we had last Friday, up to 40 people showed up for our summer school. So that was a great conversation with community. This Friday is with Black Underground. We're going to be talking about HBCUs and their complicity in imperialism, domestic and globally. And then next Saturday is Baltimore's third Curve Fest. And from 2 to 5, we're going to have Dr. Oriasami Burton there in conversation with Dr. Jared Ball at 4 o'clock. We have some dope performers like Summer Lee. If you're in the DMV area, you know who Summer Lee is. Come out from 2 to 5. Come get your snacks. Come get some free books. And and DC Town Hall this Saturday at Plymouth Church from 3 to 6. All right, I'm done.
I'm going to be real quick. So here in Atlanta, we're doing our Curb Fest, right? Our first ever Curb Fest here, 1083 Austin Ave. That's in Little Five Points. If you're in Atlanta, you know where Little Five Points is, and you know where the theater is at 1083 Austin Ave. Curb Fest for political prisoners. All of the great organizations are gathering together in an act of unity for our political prisoners and political exiles. We got the Malcolm X grassroots movement. We got BAP Atlanta. We got Jericho. We got your one and only community movement builders. So we are here for you this Saturday, August 24th, between 1 and 4 p.m. Come out. Hear about political prisoners. Share stories, food. You can write letters. We're accepting book donations that we can send to the PPs. So please come out. 12 noon today is the final in our 3-part series on what's happening in Africa. We're extending the conversation a little bit more to talk not only about what was happening in Kenya, but what's going on in other parts, politically speaking, in Africa. What's next for the left? What's next for the organizers on the ground? How do we move imperialism out and move liberation politics front and center to what's happening in the continent? We are doing that in conjunction, again, with our good friends and family and partners at BAP, Black Alliance for Peace, Community Movement Builders, Black Liberation Media, and Cooperation Jackson. So come on out, 12 noon, get yourself some snacks, whatever, take your day off of work. Come on out and listen to the folks on the continent. So these are organizers on the ground, on the continent, as long as their internet works, when their internet is working, who will be speaking to you about the fight on the ground that they are participating in. And I should say, and I'll quickly wrap up with this, after our first broadcast, there were several of the organizers and activists who were participating who actually got arrested shortly thereafter, not because of our broadcast, but because of the organizing that they were doing. So these are real serious on the ground folks. Come on out. Ear Doctor.
Yeah.
Thank you for your patience. I appreciate it.
Oh, no doubt. Thank y'all for coming through on this beautiful, what day is it? Wednesday. And we will be back here tomorrow morning. Hey, Ricky, you should join us tomorrow if you can.
Yeah.
So give us a full 2 hours. All right. With that said, we're going to be back tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. in the morning. Thank you all for tuning in. Make sure I like, subscribe, and all that other things. Peace.
Peace, everybody.
All right, let me find the right button here.
I wanted this to be special, something more than any other feeling that you felt before. Pushing through the doors, I see girls having a good time. I might say a rhyme, old school, new school, no school rule.